The Trump Organization has been found guilty on all counts of criminal tax fraud. I'm Tyrone Bowman. This is Tyrone Bowman Tonight. According to CNN Politics, a Manhattan jury has found two Trump Organization companies guilty on multiple charges of criminal tax fraud and falsifying business records connected to a 15-year scheme to defraud tax authorities by failing to report and pay taxes on compensation for top executives. The Trump Corp, or the Trump Corporation, and Trump Payroll Corp were found guilty on all charges they faced. Donald Trump and his family were not charged in this case, but the former president was mentioned repeatedly during the trial by prosecutors about his connection to the benefits doled out to certain executives, including company-funded apartments, car leases, and personal expenses. The Trump Organization could face a maximum of $161 million in fines when sentenced in mid-January. The company is not at risk of being dismantled because there is no mechanism under New York law that would dissolve the company. However, a felony conviction could impact its ability to do business or obtain loans or contracts. The guilty verdict comes as Trump is under scrutiny by federal and state prosecutors for his handling of classified documents, the effort to overturn the 2020 election results, and the accuracy of the Trump Organization's business records and financial statements. He is also facing a $250 million civil lawsuit from the New York Attorney General alleging he and his adult children were involved in a decade-long fraud. The Attorney General is seeking to permanently bar them from serving as an officer or director of a company in New York State, among other penalties. Trump org authorities said they plan to appeal. This was a case about greed and cheating, said Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg. The Trump Corporation and the Trump Payroll Corporation got away with the scheme that awarded high-level executives with lavish perks and compensation, while intentionally concealing the benefits from the taxing authorities to avoid paying taxes. Today's verdict holds these Trump companies accountable for their long-running criminal scheme. CNN senior legal analyst and former federal prosecutor Eli Honing said Bragg's approach has been vindicated. Obviously, this is a setback for the Trump org, a major setback for the Trump org. They've now been found guilty of criminal conduct, criminal tax fraud. Hong told CNN Victor Blackwell on Newsroom. It's also a victory of sorts for the Manhattan District Attorney, Honing said. Their theory now, pardon me for the mispronunciation of this name, their theory now that part of the income from employees, including Alan Weisselberg, was paid through fringe benefits in order to avoid tax liability. That theory has been vindicated. Prosecutor Joshua Steinglass told the jury in closing arguments that Trump explicitly sanctioned tax fraud and urged them to reject the defense's argument that former Trump Organization Chief Financial Officer Alan Weisselberg was a rogue employee motivated by his own personal greed. This whole narrative that Donald Trump is blissfully ignorant is just not true, Steinglass said. The jury heard that Trump agreed on a whim to pay the private school tuition for his Weisselberg's grandchildren and signed a lease for a Manhattan apartment to shorten the executive's commute. Trump personally signed his employees' bonus checks at Christmas time, and he initiated a memo reducing the salary of other top executives, which prosecutors said suggested he knew all along that the fraudulent scheme. Prosecutors alleged for years top executives reduced their reported salaries by the amount of company-issued fringe benefits to avoid paying the required taxes. Weisselberg, who was on paid leave from the company, spent 3 days on the witness stand. He pled guilty to 15 felonies for failing to pay taxes on $1.76 million in income. As part of his plea deal, he will be sentenced to 5 months in jail if the judge finds that he testified truthfully. Trump org attorney Susan Nicholas pledged to appeal. laying all the blame for any wrongdoing on Westerberg. Why would a corporation whose owner knew nothing about Westerberg's personal tax returns be criminally prosecuted for Alan Westerberg's personal conduct, for which they had no visibility or oversight? This case was unprecedented and legally incorrect. Needless said in the statement, we will appeal this verdict. In his testimony, Westerberg admitted he should have paid taxes on compensation totaling roughly $200,000 in 1 year, which included a luxury Manhattan apartment overlooking the Hudson River, two Mercedes-Benz car leases, parking utilities, furniture, and private school tuition for his grandchildren. He also testified that he paid himself and other executives bonuses as though they were independent consultants, enabling the Trump companies to evade paying taxes on them. Weisselberg testified that he pulled off the scheme with the help of his underling, Trump Organization Controller Jeffrey McConney. McConney, who received immunity for testifying before the grand jury, admitted to some of the illegal conduct in his testimony. After Trump was elected president, Weisselberg testified there was a cleanup and many of the illegal practices stopped. He revealed conversations he had with Trump, Eric Trump, and Donald Trump Jr., but told the jury when questioned by the Trump attorneys that he did not scheme or conspire with anybody in the Trump family. Weisselberg became emotional at times, telling the jury he was embarrassed by his conduct and that he betrayed the Trump family, who has been his employer for 49 years. And I'm going to leave it right there. I'm Tyrone Bowman. Never surrender, never quit.